Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's gonna be story time today. Got a good one. Hey, before we get too far involved, how about a big thumbs up? You know, like it, subscribe, share it, all that good stuff that YouTube likes, alright? So, I'm out by my favorite area. These are all strawberries over here. I think this field has already been picked. But anyways, yeah, I know the camera isn't gonna pick up the strawberries, but strawberries are there. I believe the big harvest is right around the end of February, the beginning of March. Because up in, where is it? Is it Lakeland? Yeah, I think it's Lakeland. They have the big strawberry festival every year. And I would like to go, but crowds. Yeah. Grumpy old man doesn't do crowds, so... So that would be that. I will say I hate some of these left-handers because, man, the people coming the other direction, ooh, doggy, they like to hug that line. But anyways, it's beautiful through here, wouldn't you say? Nice and tranquil and quiet. All right, on to the story. I grew up in a very large, I guess you would call it Victorian home. And, you know, in the inner city of Massachusetts before, you know, house was built in the late 1800s, so there wasn't much population back then. And it was a big house. It had many, many rooms. It had a large finished attic. And trying to, I want you to imagine, you know, the kitchen area. The kitchen was very large, eat-in kitchen. I mean, this house was so big, it had two staircases, one for the, I guess one of the staircases was for the residents. Not the residents, was for the maids or the servants, as you would so call them. And that was blocked off long before my parents owned the house. And they used it to make the kitchen even bigger. Now, when you walked in the back door of the house, there was, I guess, what you would call a foyer, or a foyer, however you want to pronounce it today. And as you walked in on your right-hand side, there was a very large double-door coat closet and boot closet. And directly opposite that, there was a little, I guess, alcove that was cut out, and at eye level, if you stood, say, 6 feet tall, at eye level, there was a four-door sliding, 4 doors that slid, okay? And underneath that, we had a very large deep freezer, because there was, well, let's face it, there were 6 kids, and we went through a lot of food, especially with 4 boys. And beside the freezer, beside that big giant freezer, my dad had somehow purchased one of those deli-style meat slices, because he used to go over to the New Boston Food Market on Frontage Road in Boston, and he used to go in there and buy the entire, you know, pieces of canned ham and bologna and, you know, whatever, you know, the chicken loaf and stuff like that, you know, the whole 5 or 6 pound, you know, cans of them, or if they came in, you know, plastic wrap, you know, vacuum seal plastic wrap. He'd buy those because, I mean, you face it, 6 kids, plus, you know, a working dad and mom and whoever else may have come over the house. You gotta feed them. So, my dad was always looking for a bargain. My dad was a bargain hunter. And I mean, if it was on sale, and it was food or anything else, as a matter of fact. And, I mean, you know, he'd buy it. So one day he comes home and he goes, go out to the trunk and get that big box out of the trunk. Well, hands me the keys to the 68 Chevy Impala, and I go out and open up the trunk, and lo and behold, there is a gigantic box of sardines. How many cans, you say? Well, let's just say they were 10 cents a piece, these cans of sardines. So that's 10 for $1. Well, he bought 100 cans. 100 cans of sardines. All right? Now, mind you, I'm what, 13, 14 years old at the time? And he's trying to convince everybody there at the time, because everybody was in the house at the time for some reason, which was a rarity. He's trying to convince us, all us kids, that, even Mom, trying to convince us that, oh, sardines are good for you. You love to taste them. You put them on a cracker and they're delicious for a snack. Sure, okay. I'm all over those 100 cans of sardines. Well, anyways, I had the honor of stacking them in the cabinet above the freezer on the first shelf, because it had the most room height-wise. So I stacked them 10 high, 10 across, and 10 deep. Well, 100 cans. Oh, wait, there's a caveat. Dad took down 1 can, so now we had 99 cans of sardines. All right, he ate that 1 can. I grow up. I mean, I'm out of my teens. I'm working. You know, 5 years go by. 99 cans of sardines are still there. And every now and then, Dad would piss and moan, nobody's eating those damn sardines. Oh, well, go ahead. You bought them. You eat them. You know, more years go by, sardines are still there. You know, I'm working, I'm dating, I'm getting married. Sardines are still there. And Dad is still working. So all along, somewhere probably around, I want to say maybe I was 35, 36, and Dad is now retired due to, you know, some medical issues. He had a quadruple bypass, and he finally had to retire. He just couldn't do it anymore. Although he wanted to stay working, believe me, he hated being home. So anyways, comes moving day. We got the biggest, flippinest U-Haul truck you can rent. I mean, this thing was gargantuan. How we ever got it up the little driveway, skinny driveway in the city of Boston, behind the house and backed up to the back door, I have no idea. But all us kids were there, except my older brother John. He was living out in Colorado at the time. Lucky man that you were living out there. You didn't have to put up with that crap. So anyways, it's moving day, and you know, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't packed yet, because my father hated to throw anything away, anything at all. So my mother asked me, she goes, oh, grab a box, will you, and clean out the cabinet over in the freezer. And I slide open the door, and here we are, some, I don't know, you know, like I said, I was 13 or 14 when these things came into the house, and now I'm, you know, 35, 36, so we're talking 15, 16 years. Here's 99 cans of sardines. Well, I packaged up everything that was worth packaging it up, and my mother looked at me and she said, don't forget the sardines, you got to get rid of them. And I looked at them closely, and the cans had a very odd color. Not because they were, you know, 15, 16 years old. No. The cans were actually sweating like nitroglycerin would sweat. And they were very, what's the word I want to say? The tin cans felt mushy to the touch. Alright, so I want you to imagine, you know, like I said, 10 deep, 10 across, 10 high, -1. Got 99 cans of, let's call it nitroglycerin, sardine nitroglycerin, that are ready to blow at the slightest touch. Now, if they're weeping, that means air is getting in. I don't want to touch these things. And I start laughing, and my mother goes, what? And I goes, Ma, I goes, those honestly and truly have to stay there. And she goes, why? I goes, because they're weeping. I goes, they're actually staining, you know, the bottom of the cabinet where they've been sitting all these, you know, 15 years plus or however long it was. And I'm going to tell you, I had this horrible thought that if I touched one, you know, it was just going to burst and spray all over me. And I'm telling my mother, and I'm saying, Ma, I goes, you know, you're going to touch these, no matter what you try to do, slide a big piece of heavy duty cardboard under them and try to get them in the barrel. If those things rupture, you'll be praying for a skunk to come in here and do the deodorizing. I goes, the new owners won't move in. They'll think you sabotaged the place. It was just one of those things. And, you know, that, well, my father did. He'd buy 100 cans of sardines and use one. And, you know, that's it. And I mean, and that's the way my father was. Ever the frugal guy looking for a buy. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager, he would go out and, you know, he would find a deal on, you know, 10 pairs of socks for, you know, $2, and he'd buy them, and he'd say, oh, I bought your socks. I goes, well, gee, thanks, Dad. And I look at them, and they're like a size 8. And I goes, Dad, I'm a 12.5. He goes, they'll stretch. I'm like, not on a good day. You know, I'm just thankful he never bought me any underwear. I'd be really screwed. Get me a small and I'm a 2XL. I was a 2XL as a teenager. But he meant well. I mean, he meant well. I mean, you know, one of the other things he used to do was when we would go to Maine, and we had a cabin up there. Oh, geez, I don't know. Cabin still's there, but we don't own the land. We don't own the property anymore. My parents sold it off. We had this cabin built, early 70s, and every summer we would have to go up there and, you know, cut back the grass that grew, cut back the trees that grew, cut back this, stack this, tote that barge, lift that bale, and swing it, as Curly of the Three Stooges used to say. So, and ever being frugal, Dad, oh, I gotta remember, big bump here. Yeah, so we're gonna slow down quite a bit. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm surprised there's water in there. We're in like, I don't know. I think as far as droughts go, I think we're in like a stage 4, and the most you can do is like a 5. Or is it the opposite way around? Or is it like DEFCON? You got DEFCON 5 right down to 1. So either way, we're just before the maximum of, you know, starting to ration water. So, yeah, we were, okay, back on track. We would go to Maine, and the cabin didn't have running water for the, well, we had running water, but it was not potable, so you couldn't drink it. You could shower with it, you could wash pots and pans with it, and blah, blah, blah. We had electricity. We had, you know, Central Maine Power Company put, oh, that was a turkey. Pay attention. Yeah, and we had water, and there was a well for the old narrow gauge railroad that used to run across the front of the land, and there was a well there for that. But like I said, it wasn't potable. But we did have running water. We had an outhouse. Whoop-de-doo. You want to prove your worth in life? Go sit in an outhouse when it's 17 below zero out. Yeah, not too much fun. But anyways, back onto the food issue. He had this thing about buying odd deli meat. And when I say odd, I know growing up in Massachusetts, they used to have the macaroni loaf and the cheese loaf and everything. I mean, up there in Maine, I mean, he would buy pimento and whatever the flavor of the day was that they could toss into that loaf. I mean, if it was horsehair, yeah, you'd have pimento and horsehair loaf. I mean, the stuff was gross. I mean, what do you expect for 13 cents a pound? I mean, it wasn't even palatable. And he always used to yell at us, oh yeah, you guys want the high-priced ham and turkey? Well, yeah, because we're going to eat it instead of throwing it out for the raccoons at night. Yeah, well, sometimes he meant well, but he really didn't think things through. I mean, what's better, spending the money on good quality deli meat, or saving a whole bunch of money on a pound of crap that's going to go out to the raccoons at the end of the week? Yeah. Never understood him. Anyway, that was the story, the sardines. Imagine 99 cans of sardines sweating and weeping after 15 plus years. Just waiting to grenade. I can't even begin to imagine the smell. It would absolutely be horrific. All right, you know something? That's the story for right now. Like I said, don't forget, give me a big thumbs up. I don't think I'm done. I got a lot more riding to do. It's 9:41 on January 9th, 76 degrees. It's really pleasant out. So that's the weather report, and that's the horrifyingly funny story. So stick around. I'll do a finishing blah blah blah, whatever it is. All right. See how many miles we rode today. All right. This here little neighborhood I'm going through. This is another one of these little hidden gems that you really don't know about until you do a lot of exploring on Google Maps or Google Earth. That's what I do. Is you take your little man and you can light up all the streets. And if these streets light up and it looks interesting, I will plot a course to go down them. And that's what I did. I found this one here. Now this is on, this is just a little diversion of my route that goes over to Hobbs Road, or Hobbs Lane, I believe it is. And that's one of my favorite rides. Go over that single lane bridge. And that's probably another, I don't know, half hour away, but like I said, this is one of those little hidden gems. You go through this tiny little neighborhood, and I mean, it's left, right, left, right, left, right, and it's interesting. You never know what you're gonna find. There's some cute little houses, and I mean, we're miles from shopping. I mean, it's got to be 15, 20 miles from the nearest Publix or the nearest supermarket of any kind. Minimum of 20 miles. Yeah, not even any restaurants out this way. Unless you go to that place, that golf course resort. I believe it's called Stream Song. I took you guys in there. That's relatively close to here. But I mean, the restaurant in there, man, it's brutally expensive. I looked at the prices online and I was like, no, not on my better days will I go eat there. Nope. I mean, I am not going to pay $25 for a cheeseburger. Not unless it's fed to me. Even then, not. I'm not paying $25 for a cheeseburger. And that was probably, I think, the cheapest meal on the menu was the cheeseburger. I mean, even an appetizer, I believe, if I remember correctly, an appetizer of 6 chicken wings was $15. So, yeah, but anyways, this is one of those little cute little neighborhoods. It's probably about a mile and a half through. Yeah, it's nice. All right, hey, we're not done yet. All right, well, how far should we go? We got 199 miles. That's a good ride, I'll say. Actually, it's a little bit more because it's 2.25 miles to the gas station, so it's 201 miles. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'll take it. Alright, so as usual, if you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up. Thank you for sticking around. I know this video was kind of long. But Sardines story, it's funny. I don't care who you are. So that being said, I hope you're all having a wonderful new year. And with that being said, peace and God bless.